Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and I wanted to do this sort of quick video about Keith Renery. Like many of you, I promise, have never seen him before. Now, of course, he is the person that is purported to be the head of NXIVM, the person that's pulling all the strings in this crazy case that involves the billionaire Bronfman sisters, that involves Allison Mack and other actresses. Not to mention international sex trafficking that leads all the way to Mexico and the former president of Mexico's son. You can't make this stuff up. Now, personally, I have a lot of doubts that Renery is at the head of this thing. I think he's been used as kind of a figurehead and a charismatic character. Now, that being said, we're going to play a bunch of different video here, but we're going to specifically play at the end this hidden video where Renery claims to have been shot at, decide whether he has to have bodyguards, and then ultimately says, had people killed. Now, whether you believe that or not is going to be up to you, but really I wanted to show some clips in context of this guy and what he said. And then I'm going to play a couple of much older pieces by the Times-Union here in upstate New York, out in Albany, that exposed Renery many, many years ago for disturbing things. But first, I want to play this clip right here. So here is a clip where Renery is kind of basking in the fact that he is a devilish, sometimes demonic creature that takes a sick enjoyment and pleasure in the power that he has. But again, don't take Jason Burmis's word for it. Let's take Keith's.
I'm very devilish, and I think I'm probably the worst coach in the world because I'm just a demon. You know, if I'm coaching you, I'm going to have you do something with your left hand, your right hand, your left foot, your right foot, your head, and then I'm going to ask you to, do the hard thing. So I do this. It's with a twisted sense of pleasure in some ways.
A twisted sense of pleasure that I'm rather acting like a demon and devilish. Look at this guy. First of all, I don't understand the appeal of these cult-like characters. I think a lot of these people are going to these seminars, at least in the beginning, not only because maybe they're lost socially, but they're lost financially, and they think that there is power in this type of group. I'm sure there's a ton of you out there that have been hit up by people with Ambit Energy or similar programs to crowdsource in these multi-level marketing type things. Now, we know that Renery, a couple weeks ago with Allison Mack, was charged with child pornography, and I believe it was child exploitation. Those charges were dropped. Those charges were dropped after the prosecution accidentally copied over CP to another device and gave it to the defense. You can't make this stuff up. Now, a lot of people are pointing out that it was only dropped federally and that it could be tried in a state course against Renery, but quite frankly, with all the evidence out there, I was very, very disappointed to hear that that was the route they were going to take. And of course, Mack has now pled guilty. It appears that she's going to be cooperating, and those charges, of course, have vanished as she pled guilty to nothing even similar, okay? And cried in court and gave the big hurrah. Give me a break. So, we just saw that clip of Keith. Now I'm going to show you a rather disturbing clip of Renery talking about raising children in multicultural situations by mentors. All right? And to me, there's a reason that this is extremely disturbing. Again, one of the people that's supposedly going to be testifying for NXIVM is somebody Keith is alleged to have a relationship when she was 15 years old that is down in Mexico and will possibly be returning. Now, we've all heard of these 15-year-old allegations, and I'm going to play you some of that too. But there's much worse than that. There's 12-year-old allegations. Let me repeat that, 12-year-old allegations. So that makes this that much creepier.
Could you tell us about your ideas for this education for a new earth?
Oh, that's interesting. Children need to become adults, that is, in our bodies. They're mature. We can breathe. We can go out and produce. We can sustain ourselves. But then there's another stage of upbringing, of education that must happen, taking adults to become humanitarian adults.
Adults to humanitarian adults. And what he suggests here is just beyond bizarre and, in my opinion, frankly, idiotic. But I can understand why somebody, again, who was lost, who was looking for someone, may buy into this crap. So let's continue. What should we do with our kids, Keith?
Ecological adults. Adults that can understand the nature of being on a planet, being in an environment with many, many people and many, many different types, and the basic practices of how to do that. So one of the most important things I believe in the upbringing of children is that children need to be exposed and have deep relationships, teacher-adult relationships.
Deep relationships, teacher-adult relationships. Now, I want to make this extremely clear. Obviously, growing up, many of us had mentors, whether that be our favorite teacher, whether that be somebody who was older in school and kind of helped us out and tutored us, whether that be a coach on a sports team. But when this guy's talking about a deep and intimate relationship, I'm sorry, but you know who that's supposed to be reserved for? Your parents. Your parents should be raising you. You should have that relationship with them. And I know that can be trying, but would you want this creep bag next to your toddler? Let's continue. What else do we need to do, Teeth?
Where the child is brought up by people from different cultures.
Oh.
So that the child does not feel, first and foremost, I am of such and such a culture, and then second most, I am human.
So let's just stop it there. Again, complete idiocy. As you know, listen, there's nothing wrong with being exposed to other cultures. In fact, I still have distinct memories of being in 9th grade and in global studies and, looking at India and Africa and the Middle East and just being blown away that these cultures were so diverse and different from what I had seen. Asia as well. And this was growing up, late 80s, early 90s, and it was very eye-opening. I don't know, how would that work? What are you going to fly kids abroad every so often and have them be brought up in these communities? Absolute lunacy. And what it ends up really being is this guy wants to get next to your kids. Let's be honest.
And I translate all these cultures as I did when I was a child, translating the French culture into American, translating German culture into American, translating Chinese culture into American. That subjugates those cultures. But I think our children could have a much better time if they were brought up with 3 or 5 different cultures.
All right, I'm just going to leave it there. Again, this guy is completely out of it. I don't know how anybody could find him enlightening or this an intelligent conversation. Give me a break. So now I'm going to get to that clip where, again, Times Union, all the credit in the world. They have done the best local reporting out there. Metroland's another one. But they did these small little mini docs that never really got any play other than on their website. So, I thought I'd play small pieces of it so people could really check this out.
It started very gradually. It started with a hug. Keith taught me how to hug. He pulled my pelvic area close to his and said the adult hugged like that.
The girl pictured here lost her virginity to Keith Renery at age 12 in 1990, she says. She has asked for her identity to be hidden.
I met Keith Renery shortly after moving to Clifton Park. Around 1990, when I was about 12 years old, my mother became involved with a company he ran called Consumer Byline.
All right, so let's stop it there because Consumer Byline is going to come up later in this hidden footage where it appears that these 2 women who are with Keith, they refer that there's 10 of them, but they're talking about the business of NXIVM. And again, a lot of people were there to make money, and it was only through him kind of trying to curate and manipulate women, not only through himself, but the group that DOS evolved. Okay, so when we watch that, there seem to be two women there talking to Keith. At least one is a woman. I think the second one is obviously a woman as well. A little tougher to tell because their faces are blurred out. But they have concerns about this company. Basically, they seem financial, but they don't trust Keith, obviously, or they wouldn't have been taping this. And she even brings up how Consumer Byline completely failed. Again, there's a lot in that hidden video that we're going to get to. But again, let's continue, because this girl's mother somehow put her 12-year-old daughter in a situation with this guy because she was involved in his first business.
I was looking to make some extra money, so she got me a job stuffing envelopes. And then I got to meet Pam Fritz and Karen and Kristen and Keith, and they offered me a job walking Pam's dog for $5 a day, twice a day. So I started going to their house at 3 Flintlock Lane.
And by the way, Pamela Kafritz, no longer with us. I believe she's the one that just died overseas and was cremated there without people knowing. Look into that one. That's Pamela Kafritz, also in the art world. Really, really odd connections with Pamela Kafritz that other researchers have done that I may do a video just on Kafritz and her connections alone somewhere down the line. But let's continue with this girl who was 12 years old when Keith Raniere started a sexual relationship with her.
To walk the dog, to pick him up and walk him in the morning before school and after school. During that time I got to know Keith. He offered to tutor me in algebra and Latin. The tutoring took place mostly at his business office in Rome Plaza. Shortly after the tutoring started, a sexual relationship began between Keith and myself at the age of 12.
And at the age of 12, and remember, this is the same guy that just said that, your kids should have different mentors and a strong relationship with them. A strong relationship with their old mentor. Parents, you should not be letting your children one-on-one with people that, even teachers. Look at the abuse there in schools. You should be extremely suspect if an adult takes this much interest in your 12-year-old daughter. Do you get it?
It happened at various locations, mostly in his office at Rome Plaza, in the elevator, in empty business offices in Rome Plaza, in a broom closet, janitor closet, and also at the house at 3 Flintlock Lane, where Pam Fritz, Kristen, and Karen lived with Keith. That relationship continued from the age of 12 till 13, when I ran away and was eventually placed in St. Anne Institute.
She reported the relationship to the police about 2 years after it ended, but the police did not investigate the matter as she refused to wear a wire and confront Renery to capture incriminating evidence.
So again, she did go to the police with this. Instead of them doing their job and possibly getting him to admit that with somebody else who was, wired up in an adult. Instead, they want a girl who was, 15 years old, already intimidated, had a sexual relationship with a grown man that was completely inappropriate, that's head of a business and a cult that her mother was involved in, but she won't wear a wire. Okay? And again, this is not even a part of the current court case, this 12-year-old girl. Huh? Let's cap this off.
Raniere has not responded to repeated requests from the Times Union for an interview.
Keith Raniere is still in contact with children. He's in contact with women, and I am interested in making sure, that I can do the best I can to protect other people.
And Odato, who I've never met, by the way, even going to that symposium, has done tremendous work on this. Tremendous work. So I'm also going to play this piece by these guys, and this is Heidi Hutchinson. And this is another person who apparently committed suicide at the end of her time with NXIVM. And again, this relationship started when she was 15 years old, a teenager. We just heard about a 12-year-old girl. We heard about Keith wanting to raise children, multicultural, having strong mentorship relationships with them. And now this story.
She lost her virginity to Keith Raniere at age 15 or 16, her older sister says. He had told her that she was a bodhisattva, whose soul could be much older than her biological age.
It occurs to me that my knowing him changed my life pretty profoundly.
He had this belief.
And by the way, I believe that what you're looking at is her sister right here, Heidi Hutchinson.
System that he was instilling in these girls that, you know, society was moronic and society was the culprit that brainwashed people against their true natures, you know, and disempowered women and, you know, sexual mores were all about keeping women bound and you know, chained to the patriarchal system.
Oh, the patriarchal system. And again, placating to these women to the point where he's living with several of them. He's having sexual relations with children. They're children, okay? A 12-year-old is a child. You know, this 15-year-old, not much better. Meanwhile, he's backed by billionaire sisters he's not sleeping with. Does anybody find that extremely unnerving? Does anybody find that maybe that Renery is just a tool of a larger operation? Okay, so let's continue with this story about Hutchinson.
He had those kinds of beliefs with regard to everything, including the school system. He didn't want Gina to go to school. He wanted Gina to leave school and become his consort. And she did, actually. He convinced her that he would be her mentor.
Hutchinson asked her sister to confront one of Renery's girlfriends who was pressuring her to stay with him, Heidi Hutchinson said. That girlfriend staunchly defended Renery's polyamorous relationships.
She, through all sorts of, you know, different psychobabble justifications of, you know, how this is actually empowering Gina, empowering the women.
And let's stop that, because if you've seen the symposium I posted that the Times Union Center put on, again, they've done a great deal of core work here. Barbara Boucher, who dated Renery for 9+ years, I'm sorry, she came off as very manipulative, and she kept talking about how positive, and everybody thought they were doing the right thing and a good thing, and the majority of this was good. And again, like she's talking about, well, we want your sister to be your 15-year-old girl. All this psychobabble, polyamorous relationship. No, pedophilic relationships. That's what this was.
Hutchinson killed herself outside a Buddhist monastery at age 33. A police report noted she was carrying a Buddha medal in her pocket. Just before, she had written a note to a friend saying, "Never stop believing." Hutchinson never explained the reason for her suicide.
So again, you know, I have my reservations there as well. There is a blind out there from Crazy Days and Nights that suggests that that is not what happened. I'll just leave that up to you. I've done a little mini doc over at We Are Change, the main channel where I post daily. And then, of course, we do Pulse Change. But if you look at the I think it's NXIVM doc on this one, NXIVM's Darkest Secrets or something like that, you'll be able to find it. Remember, I do a ton of work over on Pulse Change as well. But here it is. Here's the meat and potatoes, guys. While you're here over on the Jason Burmis channel, we are now going to play the hidden footage of Renery where he claims to have people killed, and we're going to break down the multiple manipulations that he uses throughout. This is a longer clip, so I'm going to kind of skip around a little bit in this one. But again, I think it's really important to go over.
Just to put a note, I do have, because I've been pondering how to free the process up.
Okay.
And I was going to make a statement, but it's not appropriate to make the statement without everyone here just to hear it.
Okay.
The statement, I want to make it in isolation, and it does not request a response.
Let me just stop all that. So, again, he is asserting his authority here in front of these women with just nonsense words, okay? I'm going to make a statement. It does not require a response. In other words, I'm going to tell you something. Don't talk back. Everybody should be here to listen to me because I'm the one who knows what I'm talking about. And he's always talking about data and processing and bullshit. That's what this guy's about.
Okay.
So I think that'll help free things up.
Okay. But you don't want to say it here now, you mean?
I can if you want,
Yes,
but I mean, it's very simply, The process that you
Oh, the
are
process.
doing, how do I want to, for example, you have accused at times people of ganging up on you.
Which I'm sure they have. Okay? Keith was a manipulator, and he would have certain members of his harem and then other people who just worked for NXIVM come over and start talking to these women and assuring them and feeding them disinformation and all sorts of other things. That was one of the things that I did believe that Boucher talked about in that symposium that's posted on the channel. Please go check that out. We're going to let him babble for a little bit longer, and then we're going to cut ahead a little bit.
It is yet what you sort of manifest here.
Right.
You may want to also think that in a process where a group of people get together, make some decisions based on data.
Based on data.
Data may not be complete, may not be true.
May not be complete or true.
Make conclusions on that data. Execute the conclusions, especially with someone like myself.
Oh, yourself.
Who, as I said, no matter what you say,
Right.
I'm not even going to bring up the controverting data.
Right.
So you will not get it from me.
So again, no matter how much counter evidence you bring up to me, the controverting data, I'm not even going to acknowledge it. Why? Because I'm the dictator. I'm the guy. He actually talks about dictators, corporations, governments, what he's been put into. So we're gonna jump to about 4:30 on this. Let's get there and see where it goes from here.
One's critical in terms of
Based on your opinion.
Yeah, in other words, you can arbitrate, as long as you have a certain type of ethic within a system, a certain type of procedure, you can cut through garbage eventually. That's why I told you when you were saying some things to me that I thought were quite contrary, but I told you, bring it up the process.
The process.
I said, part of the problem is people don't bring it up the process. And you say, well, people don't know about the process. I said, great, that's why you should bring it up the process so they can.
Well, let me...
But understand,
And look, he touches
that will fortify the company.
Yeah.
That will fortify.
Well, but do you understand that I think that's part of the problem is that we don't teach that process. So nobody knows even about it.
Do you you hear what I said?
Do you hear what I said? See, there it is again. I want to stop it there. Within the last 30 seconds, every time that she challenges him on everything, he's waving his hands and then he's pushing his hand into her leg, letting her know, I am the boss. You listen to me. I am the person of authority here. All right? So I'm going to skip to, what are we at? Well, I'm going to skip ahead about a minute, and we're going to probably just close out the rest of this clip. I'm always worried about the copyright strikes, guys. I did that video on Dershowitz last night. NBC blocked it worldwide. I had to download it. I had to rip out 30 seconds of an almost 20-minute video because of a copyright claim where they didn't even just want to take my money. They wanted to make sure that people didn't watch my video. So here it is, Keith. I guess you've had people killed, apparently, because of your beliefs.
The company is falling apart.
You don't have the experience of leadership.
Okay.
You don't have the experience of preserving people's lives with what you say. And the truth of the matter is, if
in a way, neither do you.
Did you see that? You see that? He was trying to assert, I'm the leader. I have experience. And she's like, wait a minute. Wait, no, you don't have. Come on. Let's stop. I know you're touching my leg and you're feeding me nonsense. You can tell, this woman wanted to catch him on his bullshit, and that's why this is a hidden camera footage. Now, here it comes. Here he's going to defend himself, and she's going to bring up Consumer Byline and how he ran that business into the ground.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't, because the only company before this was Consumer's Byline, and that, in my understanding, fell apart within a few years. Or was on the downhill after a couple of years when you got sued or whatever it was?
That's not, well, here's the thing. I've been shot at because of my beliefs.
Right.
I've had to make choices. Should I have bodyguards? Should I have them armed or not?
Right.
I've had people killed.
I'm important. I've been shot at. Do I have bodyguards? I've had people killed because of my beliefs. You know what? let's just play that last part again. That bears a little repeating, right? This guy, this creep bag, the one that wants to mentor children, have them multicultural, and be with 12-year-olds and 15-year-olds and houses with multiple women. He's had people killed, apparently. Have you, Keith?
Here's the thing. I've been shot at because of my beliefs.
Right.
I've had to make choices. Should I have bodyguards? Should I have them armed or not?
Right.
I've had people killed
Right.
because of my beliefs.
So again, people, not a person. He's had people killed because of his beliefs. I mean, dollars to donuts, folks. This guy, I don't know how he got so many people involved in this other than who was financially backing him. So I think it goes way deeper than Renery. But if you had any doubts that this guy was a creep bag, that he was into kids, I hope that you no longer have those doubts and that you will share this video with your friends and family and show them this evidence that this guy was a sicko, and anybody associated with him on this level should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, and the investigation should be expanded into international waters. There are allegations, obviously, of Mexico with Salinas' kid, but there are even other stories out there of Lebanese women. And we now know that Salzman, remember Lauren and Nancy, the daughter, has pled guilty and said that she held 2 Mexican women captive in a room for 2 years, threatening to send them back to Mexico. So guys, if you like my work, please support me. Hit that subscribe button, guys. It's only with your support that I'm going to be able to keep doing this stuff. Obviously, I give everything away for free, so if you're not, it's Jason Justice 911. Smash that subscribe, ring that bell, share my stuff on social media, get other people to subscribe as well. Once we hit 15K, we're going to do a live call-in show with the chat room. Go over what you guys want to see out of this channel, what you think I should be focusing my energies on. And remember, daily I do videos for We Are Change and Pulse Change. Make sure to subscribe there as well with my partner, Luke Radowski. And guys, thank you so much for joining me. Remember, this stuff is only going to have a light shined on it if you guys take out your flashlights and really put it on the darkness, because this shit is dark. Thanks again, guys.